as I was saying, I didn't know sometimes if it was, a school day or um, a weekend or sometimes day or night. Um, it would always be so dark and just so sad. So just, I don't know, it was a mess. It was a mess. And I really I didn't have any friends that were of my peer group, um, outside of my mother's best friend, um, her best friend from second grade had two children, one of which is about maybe 5 years younger than me, and the other one was a boy who was a year or two younger than me, but he was a boy. What did we have in common? Um, it just seemed like it was me and my mom, and nothing was ever right. She was somewhat of a perfectionist. Um, we lived in a one bedroom apartment. When you first come in, it was the kitchen, and then there was just one bedroom and a bathroom. And um, it was spotless. I mean, that's really all I could say. It was spotless. You could eat off the floor. Um, it was almost like she was making up for not having, anything. And what she did have, she kept it together. But it was never anything that I could do that would be the right answer. And as I said before, we didn't have very much. I didn't really have maybe, I mean, not even really close to where the schools, like, I can't even remember having over six outfits, if that. I mean, I'm really thinking hard. Um, a lot of times we had to just wait until like the first of the month or whenever it was. I don't even know whenever she got her check and food stamps and paid bills and did whatever. We would walk our laundry up to the laundromat, and wash and whatever. I mean, it was just a mess. We didn't have a car. Whenever she didn't have money left over for us to wash, um, she washed on her hands over in a tub. And I mean, even though we didn't have much, I'm not upset about that because I know a lot of people probably came up the same way. And like I said before, this is my story, and please bear with me because I am trying to recollect in a sequential order. I don't want to mislead anybody. I don't want to lie on anybody. I don't want to make things worse than what they were or what they are. I want to just be completely open and get it all out. Um, we didn't have a car. We didn't really have too much of anything, you know. Um, my mother was more so, it was like she didn't have direction. Um, it was almost like we were secluded from the rest of the world unless her best friend came around and told us about things or took us places and did things with us. We were just a mess. I mean, a real mess. And because my mother's best friend was married, she didn't have a lot of time, and she had children. She didn't have a lot of time to just babysit. I mean, not trying to be funny or anything, or what. But my mother required a lot of attention because she would go through these bouts of depression or um, abusing me, until her best friend would have to come to my rescue, just pummeling me. As a little girl, I can remember running and hiding up under the bed, just praying to God, please, God, whatever is wrong with her, take it off of her. And I remember thinking as a little girl, I'm going to write. I always had I feel like I've lost it now. I feel like I don't even have it anymore, really. Sometimes I get so distracted. I feel like I can't, but I always had the best qualities to write. I mean, I could write poetry. I was very creative. And I had seen so much um, as a little girl. I mean, even as early as the age of 7 years old, I had already seen so much to where I had the know how and the mind frame to still be a child, but to word the things that I had already seen from a child's eyes. And even now, as I talk, I feel as though I'm lost and stumbling. Even though I know all the things that went on in my life, in my head, I'm having a hard time giving it to you all. I just, but I'm not going to stop because I have to do this. This was a dream that came to me um, some years ago. I mean, long years ago as a child. And I remember the dream of me being a phenomenal writer. Um, Never thought about being a phenomenal blogger, if you will, a video blog. My mother would sleep and she would party with her friends. She would take care of home. She would go and buy groceries. Um, she was very a clean, a neat freak, really. Um, she didn't really have much. We didn't have much. Um, but she was always just missing whatever else was supposed to be going on. It was like the last thing on the list. Her biggest thing was smoking a joint and hanging out with her friends, playing cards and whatever, having a good time. When it came to going to someone's house for a card party or a fish fry or anything of that sort, we were there. You know, um, but other things like coming up to the school for a parent teachers conference or being involved in knowing that I could write really well, that I had an artistic side or anything like that. It may have been noticed by other adults, but it was way, way later on when she acknowledge that. And still to this day, she'll go, it's kind of like whatever, and I believe sometimes that she may be afraid that I may speak on or write things about what all was endured. Um, the next video that I post, I will be talking about her relationship with this man that they called my dad, who really wasn't my dad, who really isn't my dad, and where that went, and how that kind of transpired, and so on and so forth. And um, I hope that if I have any viewers or anybody that is anyways interested in anything that I'm talking about, that you don't lose faith in what I'm saying, because I'm just so, I don't know, just I'm not really with it. But at the same time, I'm trying to give you all the for real. Um, I'm a little bit nervous, to be honest with you, just because I don't want to mess it up. Um, but keep watching. And like I said before, if you want to post a comment, feel free to do so. Um, if you have any questions, um, because I could leave things out, and people are like, "Well, what about?" I mean, ask anything that you would like to ask. But talk to me. Help me a little bit by posting a comment. If you want to, because I honestly have a lot to talk about. And this is, again, my life.